Boys, girls, boys, men, ladies, gentlemen, gentle ladies. What up, boys and girls? Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the video. God, we just keep messing that up. But, you know, our editors, they're good. They cut that out. Right? We're cutting that out. All right. Anyway, guys, this video is going to be on LC. LC, Liu Che. If this is how you pronounce it, good. If not, hey, my bad, boys. I've been asked a whole ton of questions about this guy repeatedly. I'm going to give some of my thoughts on infantry pairings, when you should invest in him, and my first thoughts on this commander. This is not the end-all be-all video. This is kind of like an early precursor because I've kind of been getting bombarded with questions. And I'm be honest here, if somebody tells y'all that they know exactly what to do with this commander and you do it like this and this way specifically, they might just be capping to you, right? They might just be not telling you the truth on here, because the fact of the matter is, until we see it battle tested, you know, in some of these later KVKs, I'm a little skeptical about what people have to say. I would say off rip, will I be investing in him? Right now, I'm considering between QB and William, or Liu Che and bring back my Alex from the bench, or potentially investing in Sargon. So between these two options, I think that bringing Alex from the bench, assuming I'm not in an Orleans KVK, seems optimal. Because in Orleans, your Alex is not coming off the bench in any capacity, for obvious reasons, because you're going to use him as an auxiliary skill. However, when it comes to every other KVK, you might see Alex coming back out. Something I like with Liu Che is, number one, he has extra normal attacks, right? What a lot of people don't consider is extra normal attacks proc a whole lot of stuff. If we just like look at the talent tree, for example, right? Over here, every time you are attacked, you know, Burning Blood's going off, but every time you are attacking, you're also getting Undying Fury. This is awesome. This is an awesome thing to have going off consistently. Getting an extra attack, generally every 4, means that you're getting extra rage, right? And this is also going to count with something like Horn. This is a rather surface level engagement with the topic. So something that we have access to now is we have access to a secondary commander that can rage steroid a primary commander that we'd like to be firing off unique debuffs. Right now, there's a couple schools of thought coming out. One that I saw was Will. If you guys don't know who that is, shout out to him. He's in 960. He's a very, very accomplished player. I saw him talking about needing both Guan and Scipio to be a primary. So he wants to split the Guan and the Sip, and he wants to run Guan, Sargon, Scipio, Liu Che. And the reason why he would run this, because I know I hear a lot of y'all, you're like, why would you possibly run him as a primary? So one, because he doesn't have the attack tree, he's getting Burning Blood, so 9 extra rage for this, 9 extra rage from Undying Fury, right? So he's getting his ability out very fast with Liu Che. Depending on what else you put on him, if you have like a dagger or something like that, Liu Che might just be firing off very quickly and stacking other things very fast. So in terms of turning this from a high damage march into kind of a debuff march, getting Scipio's ability out first means that when you're in a 5 or 7 march, all of your secondary abilities fire off at the same time. Let's say you have like YSG, Artemisia, Zuliang, William, and Joan. Right? And that's going to be like 5 other commanders running a 6 march. If you are running Scipio, and on top of that Liu Che, you are firing off his 30% health debuff, and then everybody else is firing off their abilities into the guy. Something to consider is if you have Scipio as a secondary to Guan, Scipio's ability is not firing in such a way that it's going to benefit all your commander's abilities. Like some random normal attacks might get benefited, but you're not generally getting a lot of benefit out of it. So having Scipio as a primary could be very, very important. Now, granted, he doesn't have a lot of synergy with Liu Che. Like his talent tree has decent synergy, but at the same time, like LC, we're gonna call him LC because I'm probably just butchering his name. He has much better synergy with a commander like Sargon, right? But when you consider that he has good synergy with a commander like Sargon, how good is it to have Sargon as a secondary to him? Well, when it comes to dealing skill damage for the odd effect, that's not really happening. So let's say if you have Sargon and then him, so you're going to have access to Burning Blood, and then you're going to have access to Undying Fury, so you're probably going to get off your ability rather quickly, assuming you have like a Horn or something like that. Then with the skill damage coming out, then you can put like a bunch of odd. So that is a non-zero chance of happening. However, another thing to consider would be, because you cannot AoE out odd with Liu Che, like how good is he in total because of that, right? He's a great duelist. He's going to do a ton of damage, but do we start and stop at a ton of damage? Is a ton of damage for one single target march enough to make me reconsider how I run the rest of my marches? Right? And perhaps it might be. Now, I think a very nice middle ground could come in the form of Alex with a Horn. Running Alex in LC as a secondary, I think might actually come into vogue. And the reason why I think that is because this 30% damage debuff, it has historically been so difficult. This is like he has one of the largest and longest skill cycles humanly possible. But if we're in a situation where we're getting 6 rage every time we're attacked, you know, that could also include counterattacks, I'm not entirely sure. But regardless, getting normal attacks granting rage, getting a horn on him, and with all the other rage boosting commanders in the game, Alex the Great could have really good synergy when it comes to his second ability with no internal cooldown, with having multiple attacks, and simultaneously he could be applying his debuff. So I think when I try to use these guys on the field, I might consider running Alex and LC, and then I might run Guan and Scipio. Again, this is going to take some testing because chances are like Guan Sargon or Guan Alex may just be better because Scipio's ability will come out faster perhaps, but I don't entirely know. So my first thought here is I'm going to run Guan, Scip, Alex, LC. You don't have Alex, I think it's totally fine to run like Guan Sargon or Guan, even like Guan Mehmed or something. Having Scipio as a primary to make sure that the rest of your marches can fire off is really good. Now, if you have like 2 marches or 1 march or maybe 3, I think at 3, it's probably better to consider Scipio as a primary. However, if you're running low on these marches in terms of total, then your debuff before your secondary ability is going to be much less valid, right? Having a really strong duelist might just be better. So again, you know, if you have a 5 march, you're definitely like heavily considering Scipio as a primary, or at bare minimum Alex as a primary, because you're really trying to get some kind of debuff out, so then you can have all your back cannons just firing off. That should be your first priority, is you're trying to get as many debuffs humanly possible in your first rotation, so your second rotation destroys them. That's one of the reasons why Sargon has had issues historically, is because he doesn't give enough of a debuff in the first firing of abilities. So in the second firing of abilities comes in, you know, your Jones, your ZLs, your YSGs, they're just not doing enough, right? That's why a lot of people like Tatami Riss, among other commanders. However, Alex, with a new like rage steroid, might be able to do something like that. Another thing to consider is, when would you invest in him? So he's pretty new. I see a lot of people talking about investing in him right out the gate. I think that if you are an infantry player and you want a infantry pair, going for Scipio Mehmed or Scipio for Scipio YSG or something like that is totally fine. And that march will take you along, you know, it'll take you places. Liu Che, I think, is good, but I have to think, would I want to invest another 700 sculptures in him? Or would I want to put 390 sculptures into a Nevsky 5551 and then 190 sculptures into a Joan of Arc 5115? Personally, I really like Nevsky Joan. I would have to see some crazy stuff coming out of this commander for me to prefer putting 700 into him, because it's a very costly investment, right? You're going for Scipio first, but Scipio can be 5551 until you have like 3 marches, and then you really want to expertise him. And then his expertise obviously does well with silences as well, so you have to do that once you get to Guan. But the point is, Scipio doesn't have to be fully invested in. By technicality, he doesn't, but his abilities are so good that when it comes to using him as a synergy piece, you really want this expertise, right? And so this means that it's like a 700 sculpt investment, and you're sticking it behind Scip, right, as your first infantry pairing. But at the same time, Scipio already has more mediocre, granted, pairings, but I mean, he already has a pairing out there, right? You can run Double Relic Mehmed. You can run YSG. You know, you can run these commanders and they will be okay. Now, Liu Che will obviously be much better than that, but how much better is the question. I would have to see some really high results coming out of him to kind of look at it differently, because you want to get to 3 marches as fast as you can. The reason why you want to get to 3 marches as fast as you can is because the armaments are really important. That's another issue with LC, is LC really wants arch armaments. I don't have a lot of arch armaments, and most people that spend any normal amount of money aren't going to have those, right? Because it turns the 5% normal attack to 5% all damage, which is awesome, right? It's an awesome thing. But on the same token, like, how many arch things do you have? Like, if you get really lucky and you have like 20% worth of arch, perhaps it's worth considering, right? But if you're a newer player, there's no way you're going to have that. On the flip side of things, when you look at these pieces, right? So like, we have like a decent archer piece here. We have like a decent infantry piece here. We have like another decent archer piece, and we have another good infantry piece, right? And it's because I put everything into wedge. I go wedge, 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 wedge every time I see it, because I know that I can outfit 5 marches with good wedge formations. Now, Liu Che, if he has a Scipio primary or like an Alex primary, like that's gonna be a really hard sell trying to put wedge on, right? I mean, wedge is not like the 5% is not going to kill you, but it's obviously very nice to have. I value 5% skill damage very highly, and I value 5% all damage very highly from arch. But investing in arch right now is just not that smart of an idea. Could there be more smite damage later? There could be, but we cannot future-proof by jeopardizing what we currently have. With this stuff being said, I see Liu Che as probably coming as, we could call it your fourth expertise, or not your fourth expertise, but your fourth investment, right? So we could go something like 5-5-5-1 Scipio. We could go into 5-5-5-1 Nevsky. We could go into 5-1-1-5 Joan if you're lucky, 5-5-1-5 Joan if you're not. And then after that, we could look at Liu Che, right, and replace the secondary to Scipio depending on where your gear's at. The commanders that I am honestly a little more skeptical for the future, probably like Boudica YSG and archers. For me personally, and from a lot of people that I know, archers have just been greatly underperforming compared to other commanders. They just get targeted out the wazoo. You know, Guan's really not getting targeted that much. Allegedly, there is a kingdom where they're targeting Guan, but I haven't seen it yet, so, you know, the legend is out there. Guan's not really getting targeted. Scipio's not really getting targeted. I mean, even like QB William or like Nevsky Joan isn't really getting targeted that much. The commander that you target on the open field as soon as you see it is either ZL, Nebuchadnezzar, Trajan, Boudica. Any kind of archer that you see on the field is generally something you just gun down. You just kill it immediately because ZL does so much damage and has such a horrific debuff for everybody around him. And he's so slow too. Like, he's the right person to target if you're greedy for kills, and he's the person that your kingdom is going to ask you to target because they want you to clear the field and not get cleared. It's just, what a hard sell trying to go into archers, because I think Boudica ZL is a great pairing, right? I might even want something like Scipio, LC, Nevsky Joan, QB Will, right? Like, the only reason why I'd go Boudica would be if I already had the YSG, because I want to slot it onto the Boudica. But I don't know if I'm going for the ZL as well, right? Because the Boudica YSG is kind of like a budget march. I already have it. I want to run it. Over here, though, we have QB. I was heavily considering investing in him over LC. I'm skeptical. There's a couple different things. So one, I don't know where the equipment update is going right now. I know I like kind of brushed over this in my update video, but I felt like it needed more description. When it comes to, you've made your big three marches. We'll call it Boudica YSG, we'll call it Scipio Mehmed, we'll call it Nevsky Joan, right? Just like some like ghetto stuff you just transitioned and you're looking for other marches, right? I really like QB Will. I think if you can get dailies, if you're spending enough to get William from dailies, he's a good pickup. Like, he's a great pickup. Even William at 5-5-1 as a secondary to QB is going to do very well. So he's an excellent investment. LC, I haven't seen him tested, but I assume he's also very strong. And being able to replace the Mehmed, I would say, like, if you can go wider on marches, QB Will just seems like a no-brainer, right? To just like go wide and just be able to have more marches and do more damage and get more of a reward for your debuffs. But if you have to consolidate your marches, I think LC is, he's a no-brainer. He's very good. And if you're looking to have like two infantry marches at any point, you're going to need him and Scipio, and then, you know, they're probably going to, they could split apart, they could stay together, but I mean, they're an excellent pairing as is. Long story short, what are the highlights of this video that I would like to give you? I would like to give you, LC is a strong commander. I don't know if he's the best first investment. I don't know if he is the best first pairing with something. If you're coming out of KVK2 and all you have to your name is Alex, perhaps you could consider LC in that one scenario. However, investing in Alex pre-sock is something you shouldn't be doing. So this is something you do if you already had a mistake in your account. Another thing that I would say is his armaments are not good. Going for something Smite certified off rip might be a little questionable. Food for thought. Another thing I would consider, how would this impact your other marches, right? He has a great debuff, like his third ability is awesome and I like it, but he doesn't have the same punch that like a Scipio, a Nevsky, or Boudica is going to have when it comes to violently debuffing somebody for the rest of your marches to beat the crap out of it. He does not have that. He is good, right? But he is a good march, whereas the other one are good for your marches. So that would be another thing to consider. I would say after your first three investments, I think he's a slam dunk. For your fourth march or upgrading your third march, I think he's solid. But as your first investment, I probably wouldn't do it. Anyway, that's just my thoughts on this. I'm sure many of you have many, many, many things to say. I am confident about a lot of things. I'm decently confident in this. However, I could always be wrong, right? We could see the 960 versus 1034 KVK. We could see the 365 versus 1093 KVK. And we could see LC being used in a myriad of different ways that I hadn't considered that I might just be wrong on. So if you guys have any differing opinions, I am totally willing to discuss them and talk them out, you know, as long as we're respectful boys. But yeah, like these are my takes on the commander. Of course, we haven't seen everything together, but I get asked about this guy every single second of every day, so I figured I'd give y'all a little something about it. If you guys enjoy the content, please consider subscribing, liking. If you guys want to help out the channel financially, consider donating to the Streamlabs link in the description below. If you guys want account coaching, I do account coaching for 35 bucks on stream, 75 bucks off stream. If you guys want to send us a package, we are going to be doing an unboxing at some point when we get enough packages, and we have our PO box in the description below. I will trust it to my editor to put the PO box over there with like some confetti or something cool. Yeah, if you guys want notifications when I go live, make sure you head over to that Discord, and that's the same place where you're going to go to the role selections tab, turn on announcement and stream notifications. If you're interested in coaching, you make a ticket there, and that's all that good stuff. Take it easy, guys. Have yourselves a great one. It was awesome seeing you guys, awesome talking to you guys about this controversial topic. Take it easy, guys. Bye.